It's time to take a trip out of my comfort zone.
Yes, it is time to talk about something completely out of left field. Why, you might ask? Because why not? I felt like it. And I should get this out front that I am not the biggest knowledge hub of information for racing in general, obviously. I'm definitely not going to get 100% information correct here, but again, that's to be expected. But despite this, I hope to still create a proper review for this game. Now, with all that said, I should probably start off with why exactly I have this game. Well, the reason I have this game, as well as a bunch of other racing games, is because my dad loves racing. So with us owning a video game system and there being video games of actual racing, so put two and two together, it was bound to happen eventually. Now, as for me, when I was a kid, I wasn't very much into these types of games or sports games in general. But that doesn't mean I completely ignored these games. I did play them from time to time. And when it came to racing games, this one included, I would usually just end up crashing the car or spinning out. Well, it's good to see some things haven't changed. Anyway, what this game is an F-1 racing game where you're able to play as some of the big name contenders at this point in its history, as well as be able to drive on the many famous tracks that are within, I guess, the circuits of them, both of which are teeming with people and locations across all of Europe and some parts of Asia. And I would imagine that if you were a F1 racing fanatic, that this would be the game for you. You know, being able to play as your favorite racer on your favorite track. And even to me, who's not into racing all that much, I do still see this as really cool. The fact that they got all the drivers' likenesses and tried to create the racetracks, or successfully created the racetracks like as best as I could. And there are other great things that I want to get into detail more of, but I'll do that later. Right now we're going to jump headfirst into the meat and bones of the game, which is the actual gameplay. And of course the gameplay is you racing a car on the track, trying to beat all the other racers without crashing. And of course, the big selling point for this game in particular is that it's trying to be as realistic as possible. You know, the car is gonna handle as good as a real F1 car would handle, or if you damage a certain part of your car, its particular part will be shown as damaged. But this also goes for the rules, as there will be flags flown on the field when somebody else crashes, like a warning flag, and then the green flag for when you're able to go again. And then there's even like the weather, how you could change it and then change your car to fit its weather pattern. And then one of the cooler things, which I personally don't use because it makes it way too hard, is you could go into a first person view mode, and it really does look realistic, for an N64 at least, like you are the actual racer in the car. You even have the ability to pit to get like refill on gas and replace your tires. And I gotta say, there's one major set of props that I gotta give to this game, is the fact that if you want all that realistic stuff turned off, you could just turn it off. You could do a race where you don't need to pit at all, you don't get any damage, and there's no flags. It's a really cool feature, honestly. And then next we have the game modes, such as multiplayer, but obviously I didn't play that, where you could play against someone else. Time trials, where you can go across the tracks and try and beat the best time. Exhibition race, which is just one race. And then the two big ones, the Grand Prix, where you actually go through the whole cycle of doing all the races and trying to get out on top, I guess by points. And then there's the really neat one, which is the challenge mode, where you have to either be aggressive or defensive on your position, and all the challenges are based off the 97 season. So before the challenge, it gives you like a little brief backstory of what you're trying to do during this specific challenge, and they're all based off of the previous Grand Prix, I guess, in the previous year, which is honestly really cool. Right, that covers the major aspects of this game. Now to finish up with the minor ones, such as the controls, in which I already said they're very realistic because it really is you trying to force this type of car to make these types of turns at this type of speed, high speed. And I guess it's a bit unfortunate that there's no steering assist to my knowledge, but I will give some points for the acceleration and braking assists. And I also have to give points to them just allowing you not to play at all, with the option of just being the TV cameraman. So you could just watch all the AI race to the finish while you sit back and relax. Alright, with that done, next up we have is the graphics. And, well, I definitely have been overusing this word, but I really can't think of anything better other than say then it looks realistic. You know, the cars are very well modeled, the world looks real, at least for an N64 game, or I guess as good as an N64 game can get. So yeah, probably one of the higher end graphic-wise games for this system. Alright, with that now done, we are on to the next section, which is the music for this game. And, well, the music in this game is all rocking guitar tracks, and I honestly love it. But I do have to say two things specifically about it. One is the fact that all these tracks seem to have a very heavy bass sound to it, and because of that, honestly, this sounds like music that you might have heard on, like, the Sega Genesis. So that's definitely weird. And second is, well, I definitely don't remember this as a kid, and I definitely didn't play enough of this game to figure out if this actually plays in the game, but one of the music tracks is just straight up Highway to Hell. Like, seriously, just listen to this. So yeah, that's definitely something I didn't expect to be in this game. Alright, so I guess that wraps up the music, as well as the review in general. And I guess I gotta say that my conclusion for this game, playing it many years later as an adult, is that I have a whole new appreciation for it. Not necessarily as a F1 fan, but I guess as a gamer, because the people who made this went out of their way to create a very good game that's also not just like generic names and generic racers, it's actually connected to real people, the real racers, and the real events that happened at the races. So I guess my final words on this game will be, this is a great game, but unfortunately it's just not a game for me. You know, I have quite the few memories of playing this game as a child, from choosing the yellow car because I thought that was my dad's favorite racer, to choosing the blue car just because I liked the color blue, to loving the intro to the racetracks because they really are cool, especially with the music, to getting annoyed at that one sound that always plays when you're racing. People who played this game know what I'm talking about. But the one that always sticks out to me is being scared of the intro, and I would always try my damnedest to skip over it, because it has a very quiet intro, like with the guitar, but then all of a sudden,